everyone, it's Brenda Quintana here, and I'm excited to share a new card today. This is a fancy fold card, and this is what I'm going to call a half pinwheel card. Yesterday I shared a full pinwheel card, and today it's going to be half a pinwheel. Different dimensions, so a different look, but we're just talking about two spokes of a pinwheel rather than four spokes. So this one's a slightly easier card to make, but it's still impressive. So I wanted to share that with you. So why don't I switch my cameras and we'll get right into this video. All right, so right here, let me share the card with you. This is the thank you card I made for my customers who ordered from me in May. And so on the outside, it might not look interesting, but look at here. It's got this column in the center. So if you added other spokes to this column, it would be a full pinwheel. But this is just a half pinwheel, which allows it to fit nicely into a medium-sized Stampin' Up! Envelope. And here's another one that was made kind of the same way. So I'm going to show you how to stamp both of these and bring these together. Now, if you're familiar with my stamping, you'll know that I have project sheets for my Friday tutorials. Now, this is actually a Saturday tutorial, but guess what? You're going to get two project sheets this week, the half pinwheel card and the full pinwheel card. So that's kind of cool. So both of these sheets will be mailed out later today in the afternoon. If you want to get the project sheet, you need to be on my email list. So make sure that you look down below in the description of this video and make sure you subscribe to access my project sheets. So I just want to talk about a couple of the supplies that you'll need to make this card. I'm using the Sweet as a Peach stamp set, but it is part of a bundle. I'm not using the dies in this card, but I thought I'd mention it because if you purchase these together, you can save 10%. And I will be making other projects with the bundle. So if you are interested in dies at all, please consider getting both of these at the same time so you can save yourself a little money. The other die set that I'm going to be using, it's called the Scallop Contour Dies. This is also part of a bundle, but I actually just bought the dies. I didn't buy the stamp set. I bought the dies because I love these scalloped layers and this scalloped edge, and we're going to be using one of the scallop rectangles for this. And then finally, this is a standalone die that I just finally noticed, and I know some other people have noticed as well. It's called the Stitch Greenery Dies. And this actually doesn't even cut out anything. It just creates this lovely pattern right here, which you can see right here on the card. And I'm going to run this through while on the video so you can see how that all works together. Okay, so let's delve in. Oh, one more thing before we delve in. The You're a Peach paper I also am featuring on this card, and I just thought I would show you. These are the paper's 12 by 12, but these are just 2-inch square samples of the paper. This is lovely paper, and if you're going to get that bundle, the Sweet as a Peach bundle, really I would highly recommend picking up a pack of the You're a Peach Designer Series paper because it works so well. They work both so well together. All right, let me move some things aside and let's bring in our scoring board. And you're going to need a piece of basic white paper. And this paper, you can use just regular basic white. You don't need to use the thick one. And this piece measures 7 1/8 inches by 5 1/2 inches. Put the long side up at the top, and you're going to score at the 1-inch mark, the 2-inch mark, the 3-inch mark, and the 4-inch mark. I'm just going to set this aside. That's all the scoring that we're going to do for the card. So this is kind of cool. So you can see the score marks right there. And now we're going to fold inward along the score lines. I'm going to use my bone folder to do that, just to make sure I have nice crisp folds. And the last one right here. All right, so this is the way the card works. I'm going to put adhesive on this small segment, and then I'm going to attach it right here on this bigger segment. I'm going to attach the edge right along the score line. So it's going to look like this, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. I've got some Tombow here. It's my go-to glue. It just really sticks everything together well, and then nothing comes apart. So I'll just bring this down onto my segment. And because this card is going to fold flat, I'm just going to press on here and fold this flat, and then press down. Make sure that everything is really nice and solid and glued down. So you'll notice that's the column, the middle column on the card. And so then we can take our second piece, which, where did it go? Oh, shoot. I did have a second piece, but it has disappeared. Oh, here it is. Okay. Oh, it was hiding behind my Pear Pizzazz piece. Okay, so then we have a piece that measures 3 1/8 inches by 1/2 inch. 3 1/8 by 5 1/2. 3 1/8 by 5 1/2 inches. Okay, so now we're going to take Tombow and we're going to put it on this top part of the column right here. Okay, and we're going to attach the second piece on there. Line it up like this. And once you've got it lined up, you can press it down and smooth this down. So you can make this card base in any color that you want. So it's just got that column in the center, and then this is going to fit inside a regular medium Stampin' Up envelope. This card base, when it's squished down flat, will measure 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Now let's do some decorating for this piece. So I want to show you how I cut things out with my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So I'm going to need to create a rectangle to run through, and I'm going to need to run that through. This is just another piece of basic white, and I'm going to take the third largest rectangle right here, and we'll just run it through. I've got my base plate here, which is number 1. I've got number 2, the thin die adapter, a clear plate number 3, my cardstock, and then my die with the cutting edge down. And then I'm going to run this through. Before I run it through though, I always put like these dies, if they have a strong straight line, I roll them through on a diagonal to make it easier. And you can't see my handle, it's off camera here, but I'm just basically cranking this through over here on the side. And then we've got a layer to stamp on. And then I want to create that layer with the stitched greenery dies. So let's bring this back over here. It's the same sandwich. I'm going to take this layer and I'm going to put it on the diagonal just like I did with the other one. And then I'm going to take a piece of the Pear Pizzazz cardstock. This measures 3 1/8 by 5 1/2. I'm just going to lay it right on there. Put my second plate on top. And now we're going to run it through. And then we'll see what the results are. This is a little bit like an embossing folder, but it's going to look a little different. It doesn't have the ridges. It kind of remains flat. Let me peel this off here. So look at that. It's just kind of etched little tiny dots right into the paper. It just looks really paper. And leaves are just a very common, wonderful background for many different things. So it's a really useful die for that. All right. I think we've got all the layers we need. So we're going to take this piece and adhere it to the front of the card. So take the glue. This definitely has a back side to it that doesn't look as crisp. So make sure you put your glue or adhesive on the back side. And I noticed that when I run this through that you really need to give it a good press down in order for it to stick down. So really, you might even want to take your bone folder and just give it a nice little rub to make sure it really sticks down to your layer. All right, so that will be the front part of the card. And then we're going to take a piece of the, what is it called? It is called You're a Peach paper. And you can choose almost any pattern for that paper will work for the side element. And I cut this piece to 2 inches by 5 1/2. And you can choose where you want to put the paper. You can put it right against this line right here and leave 1/8 of an inch blank right here. That's how I did it. Or if you don't like that look, just scoot this right to the edge. And this piece right here is so close to the column that you won't notice that there's a little bit of a gap here. So you can choose how you want to, where you want to place this paper. So I'm just going to add some Tombow here. And we're going to add this right to the edge. And sometimes, for whatever reason, I cut like just a little bit too large. So if you do that, you can just take some paper snips, come in and just trim off that little excess piece of paper. All right, so now we just need to stamp that front little panel. So we've got this piece and we're going to take a stamp, and you know what? I didn't even put these ones on a block yet. So I'm going to take this is a C block, and put the peach on a C block. And I'll take a B block and put the leaves on a B block. Because I want to stamp both cards for you, or both greeting layers for you, I didn't have everything set up. So I'll take another C block, and this one I want to have a peachy day. So I can do that. So I've got the 3 stamps that I need, and so I'll start off by stamping the peach. We're going to use 2 colors to stamp the peach. So we'll do Pale Papaya, and I'm just going to ink the peach up in Pale Papaya, and then to give it a little bit of a different color variation, I'm going to take my Calypso Coral ink pad and a little sponge dauber, and I'm just going to highlight the edge of this peach and give it just a darker color. And let me just come over here for just 1 second. Oops. Here I am. So I've got this peach right here, and so I'm just going to huff on it with hot air, like, okay, and that is going to reactivate the ink. So let me come over here, and then I'm going to stamp this down here. Oops, there's a little thread on there. Okay, I'm going to stamp this down here. And there's the peach, and you can see it's got a little bit of a orangish tinge on there. And then I'm going to take my Pear Pizzazz and stamp this leaf over here like that. And then I'm going to take Have a Peachy Day and stamp over here like that. All right, close these up for just a second so I don't stick my fingers in them. And then I'll come over here and I'm going to adhere this down here at the bottom. I'm going to count over 3 scallops on this side, and then I'm going to put my adhesive just on the side that isn't the 3 scallops. So 3 scallops over, and then I'll put adhesive just on this half or this side, and then I'll add that onto here. Press down. Okay, and then just to finish off this card, I'm going to take a bow that I tied with crinkled seam binding. And where is my mini glue dots? And we'll just take this and just add the bow to a mini glue dot and then press down there. And then we can add some opal rounds onto here. Just take one of these, add to here, and then a couple more. One down here and one right here. And that is the finished card. Isn't that cute? So if you wanted to stamp going the other direction, I've created a different card base for that. So we've got the same starting card base. Here's a different paper from that same collection, 2 inches by 5.5 inches. So we can go ahead and add that to this card just to show you like the variations of paper that you can use. There's so many different variations and they all look really good. Press down. And then for this one, we're going to use this big leaf, these little guys right here. Clean them off a little bit, and this greeting right here. So we'll start with the Pear Pizzazz leaves. So just ink up your leaves in Pear Pizzazz and come down from the top. The top of the stem hits just about where the stitching starts. And then we're going to take these peaches, they're a little smaller, and we'll do the same thing that we did with the bigger peach, And we'll first ink them in Pale Papaya. And then we'll take our Calypso Coral and Sponge Dauber and just look for the little points where the stems are going to be added, and then look for the bottoms of the peaches, and then just hit the bottoms of the peaches with a little bit of Calypso Coral, and then huff on it again. Then you're going to line up the stems with the tops of the peaches. When that looks right, stamp down. And there are the little cute little peaches, right? Okay, we need to bring in our Pear Pizzazz ink one more time. And this time it's going to be a congratulations card. So it says, let's celebrate you. So let's just stamp that down at the bottom like that. And these stamps are all in that peach stamp set, so you don't need another stamp set. And then for this one, I'm just going to leave one bump on the outside right there. So all you need to do is just leave that last little bit without adhesive, because you don't want to adhere your card down to the side, because then it won't open. And then I'll just center it top to bottom, make sure it's straight, put it down just a bit. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And then again, we'll bring in another bow with the crinkled seam binding. And don't forget all the supplies that I'm using. I'll link over to my blog post so you can easily access them, as well as more photos. And I'm just going to plop that bow right on the top like that. And then I'll bring in some opal rounds again, and just going to grab one right here, plop it there, take a smaller one and plop it over here, and that just kind of gives a little bling to the cards. So there you go. Very easy card in terms of a fancy fold card, but they're still like really pretty, and they're a little easier than the full Pinwheel card, but they have that little wow factor of having the column in the center and being just a little bit different. So let me come back to you guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video describing how to do the half Pinwheel card, and I hope you enjoy the project sheets. Don't forget, I also have a full Pinwheel card. The full Pinwheel card will also fit into a medium-sized envelope. If you enjoyed this channel, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. All the supplies that I've talked about today are available for purchase on my blog. If you do make a purchase from me, you will get to choose one of my tutorials for free. This month I have a cool new tutorial. It's called the Hershey's Ball Cap. And if you don't like this one, I've got many more to choose from. And then I also have a host code gift of the month. If you're purchasing in July 2021 and you spend over $50 with me, you're going to get a half pack of the ombre specialty paper. It's a really pretty sparkly paper, and I'm sure you're going to love a half pack of this, because it will be a great sampler pack to see if you love it as much as I do. All right, guys, I hope you have a great weekend, and I will be back with you next week to share with you some more tutorials. Take care. Bye-bye.